Yeah, hi guys. Can you guys hear me properly? My name is Judhajit Sarkar. And first of all, thanks to Gamedev.in, JS Institute and GameMaker for arranging this event. Now, it's pretty obvious what I'm going to talk about. And before that, let's give a little bit about me. So first of all, I did my graduation in animation and VFX, started my career as a 3D visualization artist, and then for the last 6 years, I've been working as a product engineer and eventually as a product manager. And now I'm acting as a founder and trying to make a game out of it. So the first thing, why should anyone think like a product manager? I mean, we can end up asking ourselves that I'm making a game. It's a form of art. What does that have to do with product? Well, to be honest with you, in essence, a game is a product. It just has elements of artistic elements in it. So the reason you should think like a product manager is to manage scope script. So if you think about it, I think every game developer has always faced it that we go overboard with the features and the mechanics that we want. Now, and pretty obviously, if you're working in a company or if you're working with a small team, even a small team, you need to have good team communication, right? And most importantly, if you're starting a company of your own, eventually, if you're also working in a company, you have to, as a product manager, it's your job to maintain the budget allocations because, right. So that's about it. And the next thing is, what is product management? So let's say the main. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between a product manager and a project manager? Anyone? Right. So yeah.
Product manager kind of like deals with the technical details of the product itself. So they decide what will the tech stack and who will work on what and what will be the timeline for that.
Right.
But project manager is kind of like they deal exclusively with the timeline. Like they define working as some tokens and then.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So a product manager basically handles from the start till the launch of the entire product. And a project manager mainly makes sure that every department keeps is on track with whatever the product manager has assigned to them. Now, so basically the main objectives of a product manager is prioritizing the tasks, managing timelines if you're working in a large team as well, and aligning the development in a broader business goal. So as I said, every company normally has a business goal. At the end of the day, the main objective of a business is to make money. They don't really normally they don't care about making a video game. So so it's your job as a product manager to also create a bridge between what the game should be, what the business, the monetization part should be as well. Now, so here are two methods that we are going to talk about. So normally these are some methods in the product management. We call the SMART and the Moscow method. Now they seem a little bit complicated at first, but these are basically fancy terms managers come up with to feel productive. In essence, they basically mean, what does SMART mean? SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time. And Moscow basically means must have, should have, could have, and won't have. And now these are actually mutually inclusive. So what does that mean is that they flow into each other. So think of SMART as an overview of what you want, and think of Moscow as a fine-tuned, detailed version of that overview. So let's take an example of how that works. So this is an example of how to implement these two methods. The first, and we're going to talk about how to implement them in a combat system prototype. Right? So if we take SMART as an example, let's say I want to make a combat system. Now, as I said, SMART, the first thing is specific. So what kind of a combat system? So that would be my specific part. In this case, I want to make a free flow mini combat system, something like a Batman Arkham Asylum, something like that. Now, the measurable part. So you take that specific part and you divide it into small pieces. So my player movement, attack system, and combo system. These will be measured. I can measure that in quantifiable terms. Now you go into the achievable part. So you decide, okay, I'm going to make player movement, attack systems, and combo systems. Then what are the achievable requirements that I need? So let's say, for example, in this case, my achievable requirements are 5 combos with 3 light and 2 heavy attacks. And this also lets me decide the number of assets I would require, the number of animations that I will need, and all of those things. Right, and the last two are pretty obvious. So you need to also make sure that whatever you're making are scalable in a long-term basis. Unless, so if you make something and you are not able to scale it eventually, because as you move along in the project, more people are going to join your team and things will change. So maybe right now you have already defined that you're going to create 5 combos, but eventually you may end up creating 10 or 20 different more combos. So from the very beginning, it's very important to keep a track of how you are going to scale the project up. And of course, put a timeline to everything that you do, otherwise it ends up becoming a nightmare. Pretty obvious. Now, so that's the smart example, and that basically tells us of the overview of what we need. Now, if we go into the implement Moscow example, then we can again divide the overall smart implementation into further details. So, for example, a must-have. What do we need in a must-have? Player movement, obviously, basic attack system, modular combo system, etc. Now, what are the should-haves? So, maybe I can create VFX and sound effects, but they are not very important, especially the prototype version. But eventually, the thing is, these things actually move up and down. So, maybe right now my should-haves will eventually become must-haves, and my want-haves could become could-haves. Right, so now comes the fun part. So why should we leverage AI? The image is pretty obvious. The absolute reality is that no matter how good you are at what you do and how much resources you have, you still have 24 hours. And that's essentially where AI gives you a superpower. Right, so documentation. Documentation is pretty much a straightforward way where you can leverage AI extremely well. Now, this is a custom software that we built for internal use. The way this works is that it mimics the human thought process. So the flowchart that you see, think of the flowchart as a chain of thoughts, and each node is a thought process. Now we create a flowchart, we integrate that flowchart into the AI, and then basically the AI gives us whatever we need. And then obviously you have a document editor, we can edit, modify to whatever we want. Now obviously you don't need a custom software to do that. You can use the existing softwares that are there in the market. For example, if you want to create a flowchart, you can use Microsoft, I think it's called Microsoft Whiteboard. So you can create a flowchart in that, take a screenshot and upload it into ChatGPT, and it will give you exactly what you want. Now if you want to make changes, you can make changes to the flowchart. Right, so this is level design process that we use integrating AI. So the way this works is that first we create an entire reference pool and we group them together. So for example, in this one, we wanted to create a building rooftop with a helipad. So we took a lot of images, we grouped them together and called it a building rooftop. And then we put that entire data set into the AI. So this is again another custom AI that we built. So we integrate that entire database into the AI, and then we ask it to give me an animation style office building or whatever. And it generates a lot of images. Now there are two, and this is finally we go to the gray boxing. So this is where we start designing the levels. But before that, there are two more processes. After we generate with the AI, we go into actually creating the concept art. So we take the AI generation as a reference itself. Then we create the concept art with that, and then we finally start deciding and working on the actual 3D assets and whatever we need. And in the meantime, we also start working on the gray boxing. So this is called the gray boxing, level gray boxing. And then finally, once we are happy with the layout, we finally go into the details. So that's the focus. Right. So these are a few AI tools that you guys can use. These are I've only added the free ones and the ones that are pretty easy to use. So obviously for documentation you can use ChatGPT and Claude AI. And actually WhatsApp Meta AI. Have anyone used WhatsApp Meta AI? The AI inside WhatsApp. Have you guys used it? It's actually pretty useful. Like it's so for quick prototyping. Let's say you're on a train or a bus, and you have an idea. You can just bounce around your ideas with the AI. Now, obviously, art generation you can use Leonardo AI. Again, Meshi. Has anyone used Meshi? So it's a 3D generation AI, and it's good enough. You can actually create good enough sort of environment models and stuff else, but don't expect like character models. It's not right now. It's not good. Eventually, it's gonna take everyone's jobs. I'm pretty sure. And there's one tool is called OpenAI Jukebox. It's a pretty unknown tool. It actually creates music, but don't use it because music has a lot of copyright problems in it. Other than these tools, if you like playing around with technical stuff, then I would say go to huggyface.com. It has a lot of pre-trained models. You can train your own models in. Right, so that's about it. And one final thing, so everything that I said, these are all guidelines. They're not the 10 commandments. As a product manager, your job is to create guidelines for the team and make sure that everything goes according to plan. Because trust me, any plan that you make, it's going to mess up. Right, and thank you. If you guys want to follow me on LinkedIn, you can scan the QR. And if anyone has any questions.
So you said that when you use some of these AI tools, there is a danger that very soon we'll be out of jobs or we won't require human intervention. And do you really foresee that happening in certain kind of functions in game?
Hello. Yeah. So the thing is, to be honest with you, we are not going to get replaced because the AI still doesn't know how to think. You still need a human being to think, and then let the AI do its thing. But yes, the low-level jobs where, let's say, the junior developer, the junior designer, they don't do the thinking. So those jobs will go down a little bit. But let's say, for example, the managerial roles, the senior developer, senior designer roles, those will be in high demand.
AI is shutting you down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions?
You mentioned you suggested not to use AI for music, but you were very quick to again say, like you mentioned, that it's okay to use AI for art. You don't think the same copyright issues will come with art?
No, so that's one thing. So if you're using, first of all, whether it's music or like art, like your traditional art design or whatever, don't directly use the AI generation. So the way we use it, we use the AI generation itself as a reference. It makes the iteration process much faster for us. So let's say, for example, if we are designing a level, normally if we do it without AI, it's going to take us, let's say, 4 to 5 days from concept to 3D asset creation and the level design. But with AI, it takes us 2 days. So we end up saving 48 hours. So 48 hours, you can finish something else. So yeah, that's all.
Cool, cool, cool. Thank you.